Welcome to Baseball Blueprint, your home for all things player development.
All right, guys. All right, so we're going to take a look at Gunnar Henderson today. Check out a little bit of his defensive techniques, some prep step stuff, and again, the best way that I know how to do it is using MLB Game Day. So we can find given plays to where we can go in and check out the 3D version. But for here, we'll start here. And again, this really, I only have access to like highlight reel plays for this. But here's a play up the middle. Covers a pretty legit amount of ground and gets the out. Awesome, awesome, awesome. But that only really gives us the reception and the throw. Let's see what it took for him to get there. So when you're on MLB Game Day, it's pretty simple to operate this. Now I like to take this down into 1/4 speed so we can really see technique and prep step timing. I'm going to assume he's a post-contact landing guy. It just seems to be what they're teaching over there. So pitch is getting ready to be delivered. Ball goes in. There's contact. Landing after. Gets a really good angle here. Yeah, that's great. Looks like his cleat kind of caught there. Probably why he fell. Very cool. Very cool. So let's see. I wonder, we'll watch this back again one time, just the prep step in itself. Pretty open stance, not super squared up. That's good. Okay. Let's compare this to another play. So here's a play he made against the Angels. And now statistically, he's not a ridiculous, like, above average defender. In fact, if you look at his FRV, I believe he's either even or -1. We'll check that out on Fangraphs in a second. It's a sweet play, man. Okay, let's see what happens in 3D, see what techniques he's using. It's funny, like, across the course of a season, the amount of, like, growth you can see from a player is pretty impressive. There's some guys like Tovar last year who would showcase a bunch of different prep steps, stuff like that. Let's see if Henderson's one of those guys. Notice it still has him. So StatCast every now and then will bug out. And so you can see he's still a hitter right now. You can see his leg guard, arm guard. But play pretend he's got a glove on his hand. Airborne at contact. Yeah, that's really good. It's a great catch. Pops up. Finishes it. That's so funny that it's glitched out to where he's still a runner. Look at the arm side run on that throw. That's pretty impressive. Okay, let's go back and see something here. So we talked about this in previous videos, but this open stance here, right? Having that more parallel stance to the line as opposed to contact seems to be pretty valuable. Let's see if he actually ends up doing that on his prep step, if he gets to that line. Because what that does, if we think about it, if we keep this stance, now this might be even too open, but if we keep a stance similar to this, it limits our range in the 6 hole. It has to. But it does expand the higher percentage play, which is to our left. Now, this also gives the third baseman, if he's mirroring the technique and he's in line with the baseline, not the batter, a little bit more range to his left, which solves a little bit of that difficult play to the 6 hole, but does take away a little bit to the line. So I guess there might be situations where you pinch the line more, stuff like that, but it seems to make sense as a technique. Let's see where he ends up landing. Yeah, he stays fairly square to the line. Not really super square to contact. I guess right there would be where he's facing, more towards the pitcher, which is not bad. Now his head and his upper half obviously is going to be pointed at contact, but in reality, this play, by landing post-contact, you can kind of drop step a little bit more than what you would probably do if you're landing at contact. At contact, you probably have to like work really hard over your right leg. That's really good. And that's a pretty direct route from him. And watch this run on this throw. So cool. Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. So that's a guy, and looking at his Fangraph stats, not a not a ridiculously above average fielder. In fact, what we had from him last year with his FRV was actually slightly below average. Now, that's taking into account a lot of different things, but I mean, comparatively, let's do this. Let's go to Baseball Savant and check out and see where they have him stacking up with his OAA, just to get an idea. Just get an idea of where he's at. So we'll go shortstop, update. Yeah, so he's 25th out of 40 that qualify. So he is very level. Now, where's he struggling at? So he struggles really poorly going in on balls. He struggles going to his left, which is interesting. And then more on right-handed batters, right? And so you're going to get more balls off a right-handed bat anyway as a shortstop. But let's think about this for a second. So if he's struggling going to his left on a non-positioning bias system. So when you look at the way StatCast covers or evaluates ground coverage, they're not taking into account shades or alternate positioning. They're taking the position that you're in and saying, okay, this is a play you should have made. And so they're saying even without positional bias, he's still really poor to his left. That would be an interesting thing to dive into. And again, we don't have the amount of 3D video or the amount of high home camera video to really dive in, but to see like why, like what's happening here. Is it this thing where it's like a glove presentation issue? Is it something where like didn't control his weight really well after reception, stuff like that? And I think when we look at it too, there's some bias here. I know outs above average is more range based, but there's bias here. Like if he's poor to his left and it's because he misses throws more when he's going to his left, that could be a thing too. So maybe that's what we look at next. And I think we can go to Fangraphs too and see the arm. So last year he was average with his arm, right? I wish we'd have like really specific things with Fangraphs, just like there is with like Baseball Savant stuff with how they break down OAA, but we don't really have that too much. But he is one that was fun to look at because he's such a dynamic mover. He does a lot of things really well. And I think the next one we'll do, and I might even tie it to this video, is diving into Dansby. So let's do that. I'm going to cut here, and then we'll mash together the Dansby video and kind of compare the two maybe at the end if we have time or if we need to. We honestly might be able to just get what we needed to out of this. So we'll break that down and see what we find. All right. Diving into Dansby here. He had a great year last year defensively, just like the year before that. Probably one of the best defenders we've seen in the past 10 years. Incredible legacy already. I'm super excited to see what happens now that we've got some other tools at the Cubs' disposal from an offensive side. So that should be really fun to watch him continue to develop on that end. But let's look into some of his plays and see what he's doing to set himself apart technique-wise. Here we've got Arenado, laser, 6-hole, good catch. And again, we don't get to see the prep step in that angle. Let's go ahead and check out the 3D and see where we're at. And now you'll notice, because it's Arenado, pull heavy bat, you'll see how deep in the 6-hole he's playing here. Yeah, he's playing pretty deep. We'll slow this down again. See when things are happening, how they're happening, stuff like that. Make things a little bit easier for us to digest here in slow motion. Taillon on the mound. Here's a hop. Little hover hop from Swanson. It's a sweet play. Watch this again. It almost looks like he's bouncing. Bouncy, bouncy, bouncy. Okay, try it again here. Bounce. Bounce. 2-hop. Huh. And when's he landing? After. Okay. It's funny, like, probably, I shouldn't say probably, like, by the data, the best shortstop in the game right now, defensively. And it almost looks as if, like, the rhythm is poor. hop, hop. Wild. I wonder if he always does that. It's a sweet play. He's still landing post contact, but like usually when I'm training a guy and I see like a twitchy, like kind of double hop, that usually is a red flag for me saying like the tempo and the rhythm might be off. Here's another one. Another righty, same kind of play. That one looked like he was just kind of stuck in the muck, but let's see if it was a visual thing. That's the other reason I love the 3D. Like you can see the heat trail off the ball, and you'll be able to tell, like, is this going to be trippy visually? Like, are they going to have trouble seeing this as a defender? This is another one. Just like Henderson, Swanson's still hitting, I guess. No glove here. So cool when this happens. Okay, let's see what he does. Notice Swanson as opposed to Henderson. It seems like he's a little more square to the plate. See where he actually ends up. Yeah, he's pretty, his feet aren't going to be matching up with that line too much. Looks like he's more in towards home plate. Let's watch the timing of it again. Yeah, it's kind of like maybe like a mini hover almost. It's a sweet play. You see, so he loads up there, sinks into his legs, hop, hop. Wow, kind of like a toe tap almost when you hit. Very interesting. Doesn't look super comfortable on the dive either. Cool play, cool play. I wonder. Let's see if there's another one here so we can get another look at it. Yeah, let's go. Let's see the play in regular speed first. Cool play, man. Cool play. Okay. I know these are all going to his right. I'm sorry, but it's just what we have, right? So, Casali. See where the stance is here. Okay. Steal again. Stance is still maybe slightly open. Yeah, the double hop, man. Wow. So cool. His arm disappeared there. Nice little long hop to the first baseman. Clean. Let's watch that technique one more time. Hop, hop. Then he goes. Wow. Very, very cool. Seems like he does that every time. Seems like he's fairly consistent. I don't know if he's getting everything he can out of his prep step. I don't know enough about how his body moves or how consistent his timing would be otherwise. But I think there are also two ways to go about like teaching and evaluating this. Like, are we trying to go for maximum output? It's kind of like hitting. Like a longer swing, we have a chance to miss more. Higher jump, more length and move, right? We have a chance to miss more, but how much does our output with that kind of technique boost our first move? Like the gate work that we did with Riley in the past, like you're trying to work through these gates. I wonder what kind of impact we'd see with him if maybe there was not necessarily like a longer move, but a move that better used his height and like a center mass drop, because right now it almost just seems like a hover and go. That's funny. We've seen something similar out of Andres Jimenez, and both of these guys are like elite defenders, so maybe there's something to this. But again, I'd love to dive in and test this out. That's pretty cool, man. Very, very cool. Okay, so to finish, let's check out our OAA. So obviously Dansby was our best shortstop last season. Just barely squeaking by Lindor and Witt Jr. Now, he is disgusting. You got plus 14 coming in, which is wild. A lot of that, I'm sure, has to do with some kind of bias between how many ground balls you get moving in. how exactly that's calculated. Not moving back, he's a little bit below average, but that doesn't really hurt his score because he's positive moving to his right and to his left. Now, he's not ungodly to those directions like Lindor and Witt Jr. are, but he's really, really, really good at going in, which is interesting when you think about it. Like, what would we want to value more, being able to come in or being able to move right and left? Well, from a pitching standpoint, I'd probably say in, because if you're having to attack in as a shortstop, that means pitcher probably won, probably seeing weak contact, right? Whereas if you're moving right or left, like, even though we're trying to expand our range and get to more balls, like, a lot of those balls are scalded, right? So I think if you're coming in, having a good coming in score is really valuable, right? I mean, look at the amount of differential there are between the guys coming in. But that being said, making plays to your right is really, really valuable. And I want to see where De La Cruz was here, because he was pretty bias heavy on one end. He might not even be on this. Here he is. So he was really good coming in and moving to his right, but he's poor going to his left, which is like, it's an interesting stat. I try to decipher some of this stuff, and it's kind of hard to do that without their full like data set and being able to like video scout it. But you look at a guy like Swanson, he's super consistent across the board comparatively to a lot of other guys. It's just that working in is just so much more valuable for him, and that one out that he loses on the ability to go back, fine. Look at how they score against righties versus lefties too. A lot of that has to do with right-handed bats being more likely to hit the ball to them on the left side of the field, but still, like, the scores are going to be super heavy. Cool. And we'll take a look at his advanced fielding too with this stuff. We don't need to look at UZR. Let's look at his StatCast fielding, see where his range is. So last year, plus 14 on the range, no positives on the arm. And I genuinely am curious how they evaluate this in terms of arm runs above average. Like, is this just calculating like accuracy, or are they just like, hey, if you throw it hard, you get value? Because I feel like this would be one where I'd be okay with it being more out dependent with the bias as opposed to range. But still, 14 FRV is really, really impressive. And so we're able to see the contrast between Swanson and Henderson, and two very different movers. But it's funny, like, you look at the techniques, the concepts both play really well together. It's just two very different ends of the spectrum, and the ability to be consistent, I'm sure, is something that Swanson has in his favor a little bit more. Now, he probably should. He's been a veteran of many, many years, right? But that'll be something I'll be excited to follow Henderson moving forward with. Like, is he able to match that? Is he going to be able to, not everyone's going to be able to be Dansby Swanson, but from a tool standpoint, Henderson's going to be able to emulate that kind of talent and these kind of results if he so chooses, right? So it'll be interesting to check out. So I hope you guys like this video. Let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to like and subscribe. Make sure you check out our infield and base stealing communities on X as well. So I will talk to you later.